Some ideas and tips and thoughts on how you can use In2space to the greatest advantage. A few wrinkles, some things we can't quite do without the workarounds at the moment. So this is the hints and tips section. First of all, let's show you how we can bridge the gap between two walls, or two stories should I say. Currently we can't punch a window in a lower story that pokes through to an upper story. We shall remedy this before too long in later versions, but for now we have a fairly easy and quick and simple workaround. First thing to do is delete our two windows, and we're going to insert this tall window. You can see it's 3700 by 800 in 2D again. Zoom into where the aperture is. Remember, clicking on a 3D object takes you straight to that layer that you wish to insert an object, like so. If we had put it in the wrong layer, it's not a huge problem. We can delete it again, go back and place it back in, but it's a fairly quick method of working. Just click, select. Now you can see we're not actually breaking through that wall. We have a number of objects that will just punch holes through walls. They can be used as door apertures, archways, anything that requires a hole in a wall. Let's call this hole window and select opening arch. And as you can see, it's a standard round top arch, and we want to punch the hole in the second floor, so we make that active and click into that window. I haven't applied the arch to that, so we still have two windows in there because we copied the last one. If you recall, it copies the last attribute of the setting. So let's change that. So we now have a hole in our window. Because we have this parametric notion, we can change the setting in there. Apply. We don't want a sill height because we want to punch our way to the bottom of that object. And there we have a rather elegant stairwell. Punched through. Simple trick, very effective. Now, I'll show you one other thing that happens with that. Again, bit of a workaround required. If we punch an aperture into a hole, an aperture into a wall rather, we can't actually select it because there's nothing to select. You see, we have to click on an object to select. There's fresh air between us and the wall, so that's what it selects. But if you go back in, pick the opening up, change it to something physical, you can then select that again and remove the aperture. Again, just a little bit of a tip. This gated door was made in a similar way, but we combined the gate with the aperture in one library item. But you could quite easily achieve the same result with punching a hole. Another quite useful tip is using the wall tool combined with the extend to wall to actually make simple post-like things. Have here the squares for two posts. Now if we bring up the wall tool, you remember I got some posts set earlier. And double click like so. Tracing around gives us our posts. Probably a little bit thick, but they're quite okay for our purposes. Switch back on our terrace roof. And you can see we don't quite touch there. Bring it down a little bit, make it a little bit easier to see. And using our roof to wall, click on each object, click on a roof, and it extends through. And each post is now neatly joined to each each underside of the roof. Quite a nice little trick. So it takes a few seconds, and we've topped off our little terrace. We're going to go back into PowerCAD. Let's bring back our fills, and I've got a fill here that is our terrace area. Going to copy that back into In2space, back into our layer called fills. Make sure you're in 2D, of course. Paste that in, and again, very quickly and very easily, we've dropped in simulation sort of terrace area. Nice little tip. Another quite useful tip is the ability to re-engineer our extended roofs. Now, you may want to use the geometry and the models you've created as a method of showing customers what floor plans can look like, though you may not actually want your pointy bits sticking out. But how do you get rid of those? Well, if we bring our roof back, the process will work in reverse. So if we create our roof at a 0, 0, like so, get a good angle from which we can work, use the extend to roof tool, and it will work backwards. Turn our roof off, and we've got a flattened out expanse again. Naturally enough, if you want to put that roof back on, change the geometry back. We've lost the initial connection, but it's so easy to put back again. Voila, quite a neat little trick. Here's a tip on using and managing your library files. As you know, we have our libraries down here in the pull down for doors, windows, symbols, etc. As that list grows, it starts to become rather unmanageable. We can simplify that. If we go into the actual doors library, the folder where all the items actually sit, it's these top 3 items, or top 4 items, sorry, that we're actually using within our model. I'd imagine it's fairly typical for most people to use a fairly simplified set, and obviously lots of duplication going on. If we simply move all of the items we're not using into a folder, just called it unused, they will no longer, to close that down first, open again, the library folder is red and it is simplified right down to what is on the first level of that folder. You can take that obviously a stage further, and instead of using the entire library set that can run into hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, you can just use your favourite set and drop them in as and when you need them. Again, rather than having hundreds of items to choose from, let's pre-select what you need. Because you can go backwards and forwards within In2space, you don't need to load, open and close In2space each time you want to reload a library item. Simple mechanism, having it in your sidebar. And for me, it's In2space library. Clicking on there takes you straight to the library. Managing libraries, dead easy.